You need a hobby, so I'm going to tell you about mine. I've been obsessed with this hobby. It's called English paper piecing since 2017. I posted about this yesterday and I had a lot of people asking questions. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with explaining things today, and then I am going to show you some more visual elements that help really make it make sense. Okay, so English paper piecing is taking actual paper. So you can see this is a piece of paper, and this is glued with just an Elmer's glue stick onto this piece of cotton fabric. Then you take it and you sew it around. Do you see my threads? To make it into a shape. So the paper gets removed at the end, but the paper stays until you're fully done so you can stabilize the fabric and be able to make it into the shapes. So this is a hexagon shape that is sewed all the way around. It would be ready to attach to something else. And so we take it from that to this. So this is a flower, and you can see the back. This is I almost said six. This is 7 hexagons that are sewn together to make a shape. So the paper is important because it allowed me to take these pieces as individuals and combine them together and allowed it to remain stable and hold its shape. That's the point of the paper with this. Everything is done fully by hand. There is no machine at all with English paper piecing, at least the methods that I have followed. If there are ones that have been added in, it's not something I'm familiar with, so I don't want to speak exclusively. From this stage, you then take this and you make it bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually you get to a blanket. So let me show you the blanket that I made. This is the blanket that I made. It's about somewhere between a twin to a queen size. And you can see that I added a border of white around the edges and it's kind of jagged. See how it's jagged? That's pretty traditional for English paper piecing for the edges to be jagged like that, and I don't actually like that design. So I am fully done with my quilt top. As I said, I've been working on this since 2017, and it usually doesn't take people this long. I just am someone who I pick up a hobby, I work on it for a long time, and then I sit it back down and I don't touch it for a little bit. So that's one thing I love about English paper piecing is that I've been working on this same project for so long. Like this quilt is part of my life. I've had so many wonderful conversations over this quilt. I've had so many terrible conversations over this quilt. This quilt, I truly feel like the stitches of this quilt are like the stitches of my 20s. I started this whenever I was 21. I just turned 30 in March, and I'm gonna finish it. Okay, so let me stop being sentimental and show you the back. So I actually have not finished the back on mine because, like I said, I need to make the top straight, and I am so nervous to cut it. I can post a little bit more about that. It's kind of hard to explain and to visualize until you get to this point of making your project. What you really need to know from the beginning is starting with the pieces, making them into the shape, and then just building from there. I did not worry about how am I going to finish this? What am I going to do until I got to that stage? I just allowed myself to have fun and be creative. And as I got to the stages, my brain was able to wrap my head around it and be like, okay, I understand how this is going to work now. So I hope that makes sense. Let me show you the back of my quilt because there was a lot of people that were confused about what's up with the paper and how do you take that out. So here's the back. Okay, so the back, you can see here, we're going to look closely at one of these flowers. So there's actually no paper left in any of this flower. It's fully soft, okay? But there is paper on the outer edges. The reason for that is because as you attach these to each other, after a flower is surrounded on all sides by paper, I no longer need this center to be stable, so I can remove that paper. So in the end, all paper will be removed. My final step is going to be to straighten up these edges. So what I'm going to do is remove the paper from the edges. There is still, you can see, hopefully you can hear that. And so I will remove the paper and I will just have these edges. But remember, they're closed off because I've sewn them. Sorry, you couldn't see that very well. And then I'm going to lay my quilt on top of itself, square it up, and just literally cut off these extra topper pieces so that mine's straight. So hopefully that helps you make more sense of understanding why the paper is here. having the paper allows it to be fully portable. So all you need to do this hobby, okay? This is a full list to get started. So you need scissors, you need thread. I recommend polyester thread because it is a lot stronger. I use straw needles. I was trying to find my case, but I actually couldn't. Oh, it's because it's in here. That's why. I use these. They are called straw needles. I purchased them off Amazon, and they are needles that are just really bendable and flexible. I don't know if you can tell, but they're really thin and flexible, and that allows your hand to have a lot more movement. It's gonna save your fingertips. You'll need cardstock. I use just purple Elmer's glue, the little glue stick from my little dab to attach these. And then look, this has been attached for probably 3 years. That's all it takes. It's super easy to remove. There's no residue left. Like, can you tell where it was glued? A little bit, but this would be inside your quilt. So anyways, super easy to get started. I also recommend this little thimble. It is metal on the end and then like a rubbery texture. Super helpful for saving those fingertips. I have gotten several friends on this hobby now, and we are all obsessed with it. So I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy. And if you have any more questions, drop them in the comments because I will talk about English paper piecing all the days long if I'm able to. Have a good day, guys.